Finance Committee meeting of March 27, 2008. I'll ask Mr. Randy Clowat to give an invocation.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lord, thank you for this gathering tonight. Thank you for this great community that we're all a member of. May we, Lord, never forget to focus where we're going here. Let's always think about the people that we represent. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Ms. Suzanne, please make note of the fact that Oliver Joseph is not present. All other members are. Chair's additions. I don't have anything to add, but I will be passing on item number 8. Public comment period. Anybody wishing to speak, please come and fill out a card. You'll have 3 minutes. Okay, first up is Louisiana Edible Creations rental expense. For those of you fellow council members that aren't aware of what's going on with the Edible Creation Center, I certainly wasn't until fairly recently. And we have up here a packet that's been distributed to everybody. Kind of gives a little overview of the program, a letter from Chef KD, who's one of the tenants there, and what they're doing with the food incubator. You know, as everybody knows, food is obviously one of Louisiana's great cultural treasures, and this incubator is really starting to be successful. And I wanted to ask one of those success stories, and Mr. Brian LeBlanc to approach the podium. He's with Jazzy Bird. Kind of share your success story and how you feel the incubator helps you.
Well, I started about March of last year, kind of exploring the idea. Actually, years before that, I went to the state inspection office and asked them what it took to get into the business, and they told me the requirements, and I said, "Oh, I'm not going to do it. It's too involved, So when the kitchen popped up, we started talking about it, and I think it was in as an incubator for about a year before we did it. So, and we went in there just kind of on a small scale, experimenting, and wasn't sure where it was going to go, and it was a learning process because I didn't know much about coffee, and I've learned over the last, I guess, 6 months. It's been, and it just got a little deeper and a little deeper, and a little more commitment. And Tommy, of course, was accommodating every step of the way. Anytime I asked for something, almost it seemed like they wanted something to succeed in that kitchen. So as of right now, I have 24 stores. And it's starting to sell, but it's still a little early. It's still a little early to say I'm a success. Can't kick the bird out the nest yet. So, but I wouldn't have done this without it. And I think we can, what I've learned now, it will look a lot different in a year. But it's going to take time to grow it and evolve into what it can become. So I probably need another good 6 months. In the kitchen, maybe longer. I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, we appreciate you sharing your story. I mean, just would you have been where you are without the food incubator? I guess.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Even more so. I mean, Tommy and Edie's not here anymore, but they've been over backwards, and you just wanted to be in there. They just wanted you. You could tell. It was a nurturing environment. I think that helped. I mean, I saw their commitment, you guys' commitment, and we kind of got it deeper as we went. And I see some other guys in there that are starting to really take it serious too. And I think it could turn into an ecosystem. It's not just the kitchen, but the people that come and go, and we learn from each other, and we share our thoughts. I think that is probably just as important, and it's going to take time for that to form around the kitchen.
Great. Well, thank you. I mean, the hope is that these businesses that go in there, they eventually expand and into Ascension parishes and form these businesses. So appreciate that. With the issue with the rental expense, Mr. Buddy, could you? Buddy is the treasurer on the Ascension Economic Development Board. Like to, if you could, just give some background on how this the rental expense has been paid and all that.
My name's Buddy Broussard. For those of you that don't know me, I am the treasurer and secretary on the Ascension Economic Development Corporation Board. Tommy Kurtz would have been here giving this talk, but he had a trip planned and couldn't make it, so he wishes he could be here, I'm sure. Since I am the treasurer, though, I'm in tune to the financial aspects. And when Tommy brought this idea to the board and told us that the rent was going to be around $40,000 a year, we all choked a little bit, and we were a little nervous. But we knew it was a good project, and we supported him as long as we began immediately to negotiate that rent down as close to zero as we could. And we worked on that last year, and this council was gracious enough to essentially fund that rent for us last year. So it's time to sign a new lease. It's time to swallow that pill of the rent again. And the reality is that we're losing $2,000 to $3,000 a month operating the food incubator. And while we think it's a great project, as a board we struggle with whether or not we can keep it open with those kinds of losses. And so that's kind of why we're back to you again, looking for some help on the rent.
And Buddy, the rental expense we're talking about is $40,000, $10,000 of which economic development has already paid. Is that correct?
We're negotiating the amount. There have been some proposals back and forth with SMG.
I believe President Martinez, you have an update on that?
Met with the SMG folks yesterday, and we compromised at $40,000 for the year. So they had asked $60,000, so 40's there. And when you say you lost $3,000 for the program, is that including rent or not including rent?
Including rent.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Kluwat?
Yeah, I'd just like for the general audience to, on the incubator, just to expand a little bit on it, that it is it's basically a nurturing place for economic development for new people. Some of you folks like out there that have some kind of businesses that you want to get started, and you don't have that $500,000 to $750,000. It takes an investment for some special kitchen, special equipment. The Lamar Dixon facility has a large, very modern kitchen in it that the Economic Development Corporation is renting for $40,000 a year, and they have multiple small companies that are starter companies locally here getting cranked up in there. The incubator is a project that a lot of areas, metropolitan areas, would love to have. It's one of only 5 in the country. Matter of fact, I think the city of New Orleans is pretty much cringing right now because we got one, and they've been talking about one for probably the last 10 years. And I just think it's a wonderful thing, and it's just another enhancement of that facility over there. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer up a motion that Finance Committee pass, that we go to the full board to pay the $30,000.
Okay. Motion on the floor by Mr. Kluwat to pay the remaining $30,000 for the rental expense for the year for the food incubator. Second by Mr. Bell. Any further discussion? Mr. Ballantyne.
Yeah, Buddy, if I remember last year when we had this discussion, Tommy, there was going to be some grants and what have you that would come in during the year that would have offset some of the other expenses or what have you. Is that didn't come to fruition? Is that the reason why? Or
It has in a couple of areas. We've actually been blessed to add several expensive pieces of equipment, flash freezer and some other equipment. The grants paid for a lot of that equipment. We also have a grant just for 2008 to help us pay for our food consultant, who works with the new businesses and teaches them every step from startup to labeling to how to market their product and how to package it. So for 2008, we do have a little help paying for her services.
right. But do we have some kind of outlook on so we're not here again next year, only an emergency situation trying to get you guys with another lease. We have a plan in place, or are we going to put one in place?
We
gonna
certainly
try.
want it to be profitable. I shouldn't say that. We don't ever expect this operation to make money,
Right.
but we don't want to bleed money either. Obviously, the rent is our largest expense, and so we continue to work on that aspect.
Well, and I guess the reason I'm saying that, this is not a budgeted item. Parish president has to do the budget, and that would be something that you guys may need to approach the parish president with at the end of this year, so that it is included in the budget, so that we don't have this large expense. I'm certainly for the incubator. I think it's a wonderful situation out there. No Kevin, I know he's done a great job out there, but there's a lot of other people. I think Randy may explain it, but I wanted to find out a little bit more about it. Let's go ahead and go on the motion, and if we could continue, I'd like to find out a little bit about what Mr. LeBlanc had. But anyway, I'm finished.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes.
I was curious on Mr. LeBlanc's exactly. He has coffee. Maybe somebody can explain it to me.
Yeah,
I
Mr.
was
LeBlanc
more
can
interested
come.
in his process,
Sure.
what he does.
Mr. LeBlanc can explain it
If
to
he's not
himself.
giving away trade secrets, I know he's born out of Bingo roach spray, but I mean that's beside the point.
Yeah, no. I have a big espresso machine, and I make espresso by the gallon. So, but we put it in these little shots and freeze it, so it's just as fresh as you had made it yourself. And we sell it in a little 8-pack. It's selling in Matherns, and we've got about 25 stores, and I got 20 Winn-Dixies coming on, so it's selling in really well. It's starting to sell through. And the idea was, you go and pay $4 for a latte at Starbucks, and you can buy a shot of, well, it's 8-pack, but it's 75 cents a shot, plus 25 cents worth of milk. You've made the same thing at home that you could buy for $4
Right.
at Starbucks. And people are beginning to
And what is it called again?
it's a Jazzy Bird
Thank you.
coffee. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to explain a little bit more about the place, I was privileged to get a good tour around there. If anybody's never been in the kitchen facility back there, that building, the large building in the back at Lamar, Dixon, you need to go take a look at it. It's an industrial kitchen. What Mr. LeBlanc mentioned about flash freezing, they've got a liquid nitrogen below sub minus 70 degrees freezer. Vacuum sealers, all that stuff in there. So it's really got it's good an opportunity for people, because I tell you what, everybody around here cooks. We also have Chef Jeff Pyron, cooking out there also.
All right. Thank you. Next up on the agenda, Lamar Dixon Report. Eddie Crawford.
Good evening, Council. Should have our January report before you. Try to highlight some of these numbers. I know we go through these real fast, and it's kind of hard to find them. You see on page 1, about halfway down the page, that first highlighted number. That's the amount that the parish has spent to date to operate the facility, $1,926,176. That's, I believe, 31 months of operation. Breaks out somewhere to about $62,000 a month to operate out there. As you look on down towards the bottom, the next number that's highlighted, that's our cash that we have on hand right now, and then the final highlighted number, the $237,613, is our total equity at this point. As you go to page 2, that's the highlights for January. Our actual number this year was $31,908. That's a loss. We had budgeted a $72,000 loss, so that gives us a positive variance of $40,102. January is a pretty good month for us. Lots of events. A new event came online with us, apparel racing, that did very well. The second half of that page and page 3 of this report is just some additional highlights and kind of some information. I'll give you information that backs that up. The highlighted numbers that you see down there at the bottom of page 3 That's just our indirect expenses. We're, as I've said before, we're really trying to hold the line out there and keep things as trim as we can. Page 4, that's our year-to-date statement, but basically it's just reflecting the month today. We've only had the month of January to report. Page 5, as you come down there, the highlighted number, the adjusted gross income, we're doing a little better than last year at this time, so that's good news. As you go down to the bottom of that page, the numbers were not highlighted, but that again gives us the total numbers for the month. The first 3 columns are for the month of January, and the second 3 columns are the year-to-date actuals. We did have a number over here, the last year-to-date actual, the 21,000. We were not reporting the parish numbers, including them in our financial report at that time. That's why that number is so low. So that's page 5. Excuse me. Again, page 6 is the combined income statements with the annual budget listed on the side. Those highlighted numbers again, with this just being the month of January reporting, this doesn't really give us a whole lot of new information. Page 7 is our balance sheet, and then page 8 is our accounts receivable. We have a few things that'll come to light down here. The McCrane Productions, that's probably going to be written off. They are no longer in existence. The Shell invoice was paid in March. We're working with Cabela's and Dreams Comes True to finish those things up. And the Parish, Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, that's going to be taken care of as well. So those should all come probably in the next 90 days. Should be taken care of. Also included just a real quick event list for you. What's going on out there this weekend and through April. Should have that. That's a list of our public events that are ticketed or non-ticketed but open to the public. We also have 17 private functions that will take place next month as well. So things are looking pretty good out there for us right now. Any questions?
Yes, Eddie. What I'd like to see for the next meeting, if possible, added to this report is something that shows our booking percentage, like how full we are, how many bookings we've had, maybe on a month-to-month basis, and kind of look at that. If you have past data, we could kind of see the trends.
Gotcha. Would you like that broken out per building or just as a whole facility?
For any building that we could book.
As deep as we can.
As deep as you can, yes.
Sure.
That'd be good. Mr. Martinez?
Today, met with Senator Landrieu's aide. We went out and toured the facility. They're very impressed. Senator Landrieu asked her to come down. She's very interested in Lamar, Dixon. That's one good thing, one positive thing. We don't know what we're going to get. I told her, to give us $100,000. That really doesn't help us in this situation, but we would look at it. I also heard from the governor's office. Met with them Tuesday. I think Ms. Dixon was meeting with them today or next Thursday. So we're getting a little movement on the state. We sent some paperwork to them, and as far as economic impact studies, and so we got to look at it. And as far as the incubator program, we want to put this to rest, as I've said. I mean, I'm hoping you feel the same way at least by December. I'm going to prepare something to put on the ballot for the October 4th election. And so with the incubator program and any other programs, at least that'll give us a 6-month time frame if we don't purchase the facility. So we're working toward that goal. We're working toward a time frame. I don't think we need to debate this a whole lot more after this year, and just make a decision one way or the other. So I just wanted to give you that update.
Okay. Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Crawford, when do y'all contract end?
With the incubator or with the SMG's contract?
SMG
I believe
contract.
it's June 30th, 09.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Valentine?
Eddie, I read in the Baton Rouge business report that the farmers market is moving because of, unfortunately, I guess it's no they're more interested, I guess, in through traffic than they are, I guess. I mean, because it was such a big hit when it first started. And
Right.
it fit the facility so well. Is it just a lack of, or the location?
That's kind of what everybody with the board has decided, that it was the location. It was hard to find. There was some times of the year where there wasn't enough produce out there. So ultimately, that's what they decided, was that a better, a more centralized location would be better for the market. So that's why they decided.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it goes hand in hand with question events, rodeos. You know, I mean, kind of simulate the farmers market to do the same thing. And I was a little disappointed to see it do that, but I understand that they have to go where the people are. That's what they have to do.
Right. Yeah, they've got a
I
test.
think they moved to airline in 621.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Kluwat.
Yeah, Eddie, I was just looking over the first sheet. I guess my question is always advertisement for a facility of that magnitude. And, you know, do we have is there budgeted advertisement in there in trade magazines?
There is, and we have, SMG has also put now a total of $100,000 into a marketing fund. We did a lot of what we would call public awareness type advertising the first year and a half, and it's very expensive, and it doesn't really get us the clients we need. It's a way to show that the facility's here, but it's not bringing us show promoters. So we certainly will get out there and from time to time do trade magazines and nationally and things like that to keep our name out there. But a lot of what we're doing right now, we're using that marketing money as seed money to get those events here. So, you know, for instance, a barrel racing event would come in and they'll have prize money of $5,000. For me to buy a one-page magazine or ad in a national mag, you know, could be $4,000. So we'll take that money and add that to a promoter's purse to try to not only generate more activity out on the property, but also keep our name out there as a promoter-friendly facility. So yes, we do spend some money on advertising. Another thing that's fortunate about with this business is the promoters typically do most of our advertising for us. It's free to us. If you'll see the gun and knife banners, billboards up, the Sportsman Show, I think he had 23 banners up. They also include our name and our logo. So that's a benefit for us as well, so we don't have to go out there and spend that money. But we certainly do have a budget to go out there and market the facility.
Yeah, I was just wondering if, you know, I don't know the stipulations of your contracts, but when you get somebody in, but I listen to the radio a good bit, and I listen to talk radio, and through the New Orleans area, that they were advertising that Sportsman Show in Gonzales.
Right.
Never said Lamar Dixon.
We're addressing that in his contract this year.
Yeah.
So he actually had a 3-year contract. He's now doing a 1-year renewal. Again, coinciding with the lease purchase agreement now. He's going from a 3-year deal with a 3-year extension to now a 1-year situation. But yeah, we're addressing that in his new contract, is that he will now state, and then we're also addressing this in a number of other contracts, that we'll use our logo as well as our name. So like the gun and knife band, they just have the name up there. We'll include that. So we're taking care of that.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Valentine.
Yeah, one more comment from Mr. Martinez. Tommy, I know the past president, because Ms. Landrew, bless her heart, she promised it 4 years ago, $10 million, and here she is running for re-election. She promised it again. Now, he promised he was going to kiss her. I don't know what you promised her, but I hope it's good enough where we get something this time. Okay.
Tommy might be a better kisser.
Mr. Bell.
Eddie, on the direct income events on page 2, if there's a outfit like Aroma Senses that books and then they drop out, they decide not to come, do we have deposits that we keep, or?
We do have deposits, and then with that one show, we typically, they've done events with us over the years. They're restructuring and trying to get back together. So we've held the deposit, anticipating them to get back together. Yes, we kind of look at each case scenario. We hold a deposit, and then we look at it, and then try to figure out how, you know, is this group going to come back to us? Then we'll just sit there, we'll say your deposit's still good, but we're going to hold it. So yes, sir, we have a deposit.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Eddie, were you able to meet with the Cajun R.V. Riley and Mr. Mitchell Epps?
I'm not sure. We met with 3 of them here recently, and I'm not sure I met with Mr. Mitchell. Flo May McGee's our booking and scheduling manager.
They're trying to schedule an event for 2009, 2010.
Okay.
And I think
Family Motor Coach Association?
Correct.
Yes, we've met with it.
You,
That is-
the impact on that rally for a week, did y'all come up with some numbers?
We're trying to get their actual impact from them. We had one, I guess the first year out here, and the group that came was a different group, but they did a very interesting way of tracking their impact. They kept the receipts from the local areas in a restaurant and gas stations and things like that they used. And I think their impact on for their 4-day rally was something in the neighborhood of $500,000. So this one will come in, I think it's a full week rally. So the impact could be huge. I'm trying to get their actual impact study, so we're not just spouting numbers here, but those are significant, and what's great about those is they're very low impact on the facility as far as maintenance issues. So we're trying to pursue those more often. We're actually talking with 3 right now for the 09 and 2010 year, so we're encouraged with that.
Appreciate that. And if you can bring us any info on that, please.
Sure.
Please do so.
I would add that too. The hog rally that you've heard about downtown Baton Rouge, it's the Harley Owner Groups Association, big motorcycle rally. They've asked us to bid on their 2010 rally as well, so that's more good news.
Anything else?
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Number 7, new hire, Mr. Robert Poche.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. I'm here tonight to request from y'all the authorization from the parish to hire a new employee. For those of you who are new on this council, my employees are civil. This is a civil service position, and the parish is responsible for paying half of their salary. This position is $7.75 an hour, which is roughly $16,120 a year, and the parish would be responsible for half. Secretary of State's office now requires that the registrars around the state get the authorization from their parish. I think they had a little problem in St. Landry Parish where the parish couldn't come up with the money, so they want to be sure they have it before they allow us to hire someone.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Mr. Poche, just discussion real quick. Justification, did somebody leave or you have additional
population increase, sir.
Population increase. Okay.
We are also limited by the population as to the number of employees that we can have. Population increase to the extent that I need another employee.
Okay, great. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Item number 9, URS task order contract in the amount of $35,670 to complete Hillaryville sewer project inspection.
I'd like to offer a motion that we go on an hourly basis and use as needed. So far, we have spent $126,000 on this project for inspection. They're asking for an additional $152,000 when a consultant had bid $88,000 to do the inspection, but he failed and URS got it, and it's been bumping it up. We just paid them $54,000 in July. A few months ago, November. So I'll make a motion that we pay them on an hourly basis and use as needed only.
Motion by Mr. Thompson to convert this contract to an hourly basis from this point forward. Mr. Thompson, what would the hourly rate be? Whatever the...
I think that we have... who's here? Mr. Bob, what was the hourly rate, URS?
It's something that's defined already, though? I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
That's 60 right.
Kenny Matassa may be able to better answer that, but if I recall correctly, it's
$60 an hour.
60 an hour.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Thompson. Need a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Second by Mr. Benny Johnson. Discussion. Mr. Kluwat.
Yes, Kenny, I mean, I'm looking at this inspection invoice. Normally, we have a task order that has a limit on it, and invoice comes in, and it is, I see it billed by the hour, and he's showing so many hours. Is there any checks and balances in that system within our parish government?
Well, this project is a little different than normal. If I have a pie chart I can put on here to show you all of the expenses. Let's see.
Keep going. The other way. Keep going.
Wait a minute.
That would be full.
No, that ain't working either.
Right there.
Can you read that?
That's fine.
That's good.
Okay. You had an engineering company that, you see, that project started out as it was going to be a lift station to pump to the new plant in Dara. And then they changed that scope. So then they told GSA, who had originally engineered a lift station. Then they changed the scope to make it a regional station, which is a 165,000 gallon plant there. So he designed the engineered a new sewer plant. And then they gave URS a contract. The past administration and council gave the inspections to URS, which you've seen different contracts on that, and the completion date is past the time right now, so that's why they ran out of money in inspections. But you got URS doing inspections, but then they report inspections back to GSA. It's kind of like two companies in it. An administrative fee was Roberto's fee, and SJB was just $2,730 for land acquisition.
Kenny, you may not be able to answer this. This might be Mr. Turner, or Mr. Martinez. What I want to know is how close are we, as a parish, to having inspectors that can start doing this kind of work?
Our inspectors really are not gearing to this type of work. This is a specialty item. Sanitary sewers involves more of a plumbing than what we're currently gearing our inspectors to. Our inspectors are being certified in road work, road construction work. This is more of a specialty. I guess it's my feeling it'll be some time before the parish would have inspectors qualified to do this type of work.
But we're also looking at, we're supposed to be starting up a utility department that we have currently two employees with level 2 licenses. We could hire someone in that department.
Mr. Martinez?
Since we got into this subject, while we got a little time, on the Harryville Sewer Project, you got a grant for $983,000. The parish's match on that was supposed to be $381,183. I guess when they changed it from to a regional plant, we came back in and put another $658,817 into this project. So right now, as of today, we are, before you would amend this or anything else and whatever else comes up, we're in a hole another $11,000 and it's rolling. This is an example of where when you get a block grant, now you're spending more money than the block grant is actual money that's been allocated in the block grant. We need to start looking, and I was going to save this for the report when Bert Falk was on, but since we have time to discuss it, we got this project ongoing. I'm looking at 2 engineering firms here. We've spent probably, and if we do this addition, $350,000, $400,000 on engineering fees. We've got other problems out there that we can discuss later. I'm having to work through some other problems there. But this is an example of we keep building these small plants, and every one of them, as you'll see at the meeting tonight, every one of them end up costing you money and you're having to subsidize them. We need to start looking at the possibility of, either we're going to get in the sewer business or we're not going to get in the sewer business. We can't just keep piecemealing it. That's basically what happened with our zoning and the growth that occurred in the northern end of the parish. I know the previous administration, there was a sewer study by the Corps. Like to get the new councilman up to date on that. In some short time here, we need to call a special meeting, I think, just to discuss sewer, discuss which direction we're going in. We're not going in the right direction now. Every one of the 5 plants that we are looking at, we're losing money on them every year. So Country Ridge, I'll give you an example. The last 10 years, we've spent over $2 million on Country Ridge. We've collected $558,000 in sewer fees. So that means every year we subsidize in that system to $150,000 a year. Now, we have also another engineer looking at Country Ridge and redoing the lines, we spent probably a couple $100,000 there on studies and plans, and we only had phase 2, so you got 3 more phases to look at. Then we're talking about 73 on the widening. We're going to have to spend $1 million. We met with DOTD this week. You're going to spend $1 million there to be able to build that road, to put a sewer plant in there. If we get the money to widen 42, we're going to have to spend another $2.5 million to put pipe in there, because we can't put sewer in there. We can't tie those tail lines in. So, I mean, we're spending a lot of money, and what's happening is we're on a collision course. I will tell you that we're going to spend more money on sewer than we will on roads if we continue down this road. So we need to develop a parish-wide sewer plan. DEQ, we've got a letter. I'm sending you all a letter that tells us that, we need to allow the people that's building or any new development needs to get their DEQ permit, because if they don't, they may spend a lot of money and a lot of time, because they may not be issued a discharge permit, because a lot of our streams are at the breaking point of what affluent and runoff that they can take. So, as a group, hopefully, we need a concerted effort here, and we need to start thinking about what direction we're going to go in sewer. I mean, that's just another issue that we're going to have to deal with. In talking in Washington, there's not a whole lot of money right now on the federal end for sewer projects. So next year we're going to have to budget an extra $1 million for 73, which is good, because I don't have a problem with that, because we need the road. We need $2.5 million the next year for 42. Now, taxes are not growing at that rate, so, we have to come to see. We need to have a department. If we're going to have fire, right now we got 5 sewer systems that we're responsible for. We say we got a utility department, but we've never actually created a utility department, unless, I don't know if the previous councils did. Okay. And we need to find somebody that knows something about sewer and put them there, because it's going to be a problem for them. All of this is going to cost money. If we created a sewer department right now, I don't know where I'd put them, okay, at Public Works. So these are all issues that I want you to think about down the line. And since this came up, I just wanted to give you all a little heads up, and maybe we can start putting all our heads together, start thinking, and maybe call a special sewer meeting in the near future.
I
So,
appreciate those
thank you.
comments, Mr. Martinez. I mean, I think everybody up here agrees that that is a huge issue that we're going to have to tackle, and
Mr. Chairman?
do that in the near future. Yes, Mr. Kluat.
Real quick to recap what I just, basically, I believe that when we're running on grant money, we have some type of obligations to follow guidelines, paperwork, inspections, whatever. So I don't have a problem with the motion. You know, we generally order a task order, but I guess the estimate put together, I hadn't seen anybody yet defend this estimate. Okay, you got somebody in here that... Yes, sir.
Mr. Shakespeare.
Yes, I just want to ask a few questions. Well, I know we started out about $1.3 million on this project, huh, Mr. Bob? Mr. Bob?
Again, I can answer that. I got the
Okay.
paperwork. You had a grant for $983,670,000, but you had to put aside $110,000 for hookups. So that left you with $873,000. The match from the parish was originally to be $381,183.
That's what we approved.
So that's 1.3. But some additional funding was approved, I guess, when y'all decided to go to a regional plan of $658,817. So right now, what we've got in the project to date is $2,035,371.68 to be exact. We're operating at a deficit on this project right now. We have $11,701 in deficit spending. If you add this, another 30-something thousand. From what I understand, that engineer is going to come because of the redesigns and the extra money that was put in it. And plus, we do have a problem that may end up costing us a lot more money there. I'm trying to work through that. I'll have the report on that in the near future. So, you know, this project will probably end up being somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,200,000. It depends on what we got to do to.
Well, that's what the numbers I came with. We're about $1 million over what we originally started out to be.
Yeah, right
almost.
now.
Yeah.
You're not finished.
And I know when we started out, we took a look at doing separating inspections from the engineering in order to have better oversight. That was our idea. I think. Is this in line with the contract, Mr. Bob? We had talked to you about it. We had looked at the comparisons where, remember we met in your office and we looked at the comparisons from what URS was charging to what the engineer would charge, and they were either even or actually they were lower?
They were slightly below.
Right.
You are correct. We did look at that. It was predicated on the assumption that the project would be completed at a certain date. In fact, it was completed, estimated to be completed last year sometime. And
So-
the estimates and the cost of the inspection was to that date. And
So effectively, the cost of the inspection going up because the projects is going over.
that's correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
It's
Well,
a matter
and
of
that's-
time. It's down to an hourly rate for your inspector. If the contractor's out there, your inspector needs to be out there.
Right, but I mean, they're basically charging on hourly rate right now.
That's correct.
Okay, so this really wouldn't change it. We just have another limit that we're going to, and if the project continues to go past that, they would come to us again until the project's over.
The inspection should occur up until the project is completed.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I got a question for Mr. Israel. Is there anything, I mean, you're inspecting the project, is there anything out of the ordinary that, what is causing the project to go over?
Your contractor is taking longer than expected. The original completion date on the project was December 11th, 2007.
What are we doing to expedite this, and what are the problems that cause them to go over, or is just, you know, because if he's going over because of his fault, then we need to hold him accountable, and that's what I want to hear from the inspector.
Or GSA would have to answer those questions as to why they're going over. Our job Mr. Schechtsteiner, is to be out there to inspect what the contractor does. We are not working with his schedule. We're just there. When he's there, we're there.
Okay, and what do you do with the information? So in other words, the project, what he's doing, his work is adequate.
Yes.
All
He's
right.
taking notes. He's giving measurements for payment to the contractor, all that is necessary as an inspector. He's out there every day, some days 10 hours, some days 11 hours, depending on what the contractor works.
But what I'm getting at is what is the process that we go by to hold the contractor accountable to stay on the schedule?
Your contract with the contractor has a clause for liquidated damages. The parish will have to deal with the contractor on that issue.
Okay.
And that is, Mr. Chance is the engineer in charge, will have to deal with, make recommendations to the council on
So
that issue.
Mr. Chance would handle that from the standpoint of trying to hold the contractor accountable.
Correct.
To do what they're supposed to do on a timely manner.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
I think the liquidated damages on that is $500 a day.
Okay.
Hopefully we can save some money.
Well, that's what I was getting, because they've been going over, and we hadn't had any negative reports as to why they've been going over. They just been going over, and so
You don't get into it till the job's finished, because at that time he's going to ask rain days and things like that, which they all monitoring, and they'll come to you and say, we think you need to give him 10 extra days, and then he's got to pay liquidated damages on it, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? It's all documented, rain days or whatever like that. But you don't deal with it till the end of the job. Now, at present, it's on, they're running the tie-in lines. They hadn't tied any homes in yet, but they're running the lines right now.
okay. So we're protected with what on the overruns now.
We got 10% on
You've got a $500 a day on any days over what the contract.
Okay. All right.
All right, gentlemen, we have a motion on the floor, and we have one more item on the agenda. If we can get this discussion moving along. Mr. Valentine?
I'm going to ask for an explanation of the motion, because what I see before me is another task order. It doesn't mean that they're going to use it all. It's just issuing a task order to allow them to finish, which they say they're going to do it by the hour.
Yes, sir.
So I'll make a substitute motion. We approve the task order for URS for $35,670.
A second.
Substitute motion on the floor by Mr. Valentine that we approve the task order, second by Mr. Lambert. Discussion on that motion.
One more time, please.
I'm against it, and I request a roll call.
Before the roll call, Mr. Schechtsteiner.
We would be paying by the hour. We're paying by the hour now, right? I'm just confused about the substitute
Well, I'm saying
motion.
use as needed.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's open-ended. At least with the task order, we have a stopping point that they would have to come back to us again. I think we're better protected by having that. And because of that, since we charge them the same way, I would rather have a stopping point that if they get to that point, we would come back again.
Mr. Cluell.
Just a real quick note. I don't know if maybe legal can help us, but I don't think we can just go by the hour. Okay, I think we have to approve some limit and then let them invoice by the hour. Can you help me with that?
Right, under task order procedures, you're going to have a limit to that task order.
Okay, so the substitute motion on the floor that we're going to have a roll call vote on is for approving the payment for the task order in the amount of $35,670. Mr. Joseph. Ms. Suzanne, if you take this for the record.
For it.
Councilman Joseph?
For it.
I'm sorry. For yes, sir. Councilman Schechtsteiner?
Yes.
Councilman Thompson?
No.
Councilman Bell?
No.
Councilman Dipsy Lambert?
No.
Councilman Kluwat?
Yes.
Councilman Valentine?
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Cullen.
No.
Councilman Johnson.
No.
It being a tie, I'll cast a vote. Yes. Substitute motion passes. Item number 10, financial report, Ms. LeBlanc.
Chairman Lower and members of the Finance Committee, you have before your monthly sales tax report. Everybody has it? Okay. This is the February collection month, and you can see our 3 sales tax districts. We reviewed the history of each one at the last finance meeting. So you can see, if you look at year-to-date, East Ascension Drainage, its half-cent sales tax is up 14.5%. Our 1% rural sales tax district is up 8.38%, and our half-cent sales tax district is up 9.5%. Now, if you turn to the second page, you'll see a new chart before you, and this is the one we'll go over tonight. The rest, which you can look at your pleasure. We would like to also, while we're looking at the revenue side, we'd also like to look at the expenditure side, so that you'll be familiar with the process that we get involved in. Our one-cent sales, our sales taxes, the total sales taxes for the 3 districts that have a sales tax for the parish, is our largest source of revenue. It represents over 50% of our revenues in our budget for 2008. So right now we're going to center in on just sales tax district number 1, and the reason for that is because the other 2 sales taxes are dedicated by the voters. Our rural sales tax district is half-cent sales tax district, dedicated 1/3 to fire protection services and 2/3 for roads and road construction. Our 1 cent is our only undedicated tax in the parish government other than the general fund, but I wanted to bring all this together to you to show you how you commit the council commits and ordains that the proceeds of the sales tax district 1 be used as follows. So you can see the first one is the revenues of $13.6 million, and our expenditures and other uses, professional services. This is our sales and use tax authority, the cost to collect the taxes, and also any refunds that might happen. $135,000. Now, everything else under that is a transfer out. The general fund, which is our only other undedicated fund, it can be used for any lawful purpose of parish government, cannot balance the fund itself. It has not been able to do so in at least 15 years. The total budget, and to give you a perspective of what I mean, is the total general fund budget is $13.8 million, and it requires $6.2 million from sales tax district number 1 just to balance. The same with road and bridge maintenance. It's not our construction fund. This is our maintenance fund. It has no dedicated revenues but $700,000 per year from the Parish Transportation Act, which is an act by the legislature that all the 64 parishes share in. Its total budget is $6.1 million, so it requires $5.1 million from sales tax district number 1 just to balance. The Recreation Department is another fund of the parish that has no dedicated revenue. So by choice of the council, they have dedicated 10% of the net proceeds of sales tax district number 1 to our 2 recreation departments, one on the east side, one on the west side. The Recreation Department's budget is $1.7 million, and the 10% net proceeds is $1.2 million. And that's the total transfer of that amount. The council has ordained that 10% of that amount goes to the West Side Recreation. Lamar, Dixon, we budgeted $788 towards that fund. Debt service, this is for the new jail expansion project. This will be the first year of the full debt service of that bond issue, $800,000, and that'll continue for 20 more years, or 19 more years, I should say. And then by action of the council, they authorized a public works building to be built on the west side of the river, $750,000. And then by the request of the 23rd Judicial District, the council has agreed to put up $65,000 each year for a program called FINS, which is Families in Need of Services. So the total expenditures and other uses is $15.2 million, and you can see that we're operating that fund at almost a $1.6 million deficit. Now, all of the above expenditures are repetitive, except the Public Works building. That's a one-time appropriation, so that would cut that deficit in half. So our goal here, naturally, is to balance the revenues against the expenditures, but at the same time to maintain an adequate fund balance in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, and that amounts to about $6.2 million. So once again, you know, I would like to just reiterate the statement that we put in the 2008 budget message, that irrespective of the increases that we're realizing on the revenue side in sales taxes, and also property taxes also, in recent years, our needs in the parish, naturally, as you realize, are far greater than the revenues that we're collecting. And the demands for services and the infrastructure just continue to evolve as the parish grows. But irrespective of that, with that said, you know, our commitment is to maintain sound fiscal responsibility, and we will always apply this to the issues that we address. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions for Ms. LeBlanc? Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Need a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Bell. Second by Dennis Cullen. Meeting adjourned.